Hi, guys. Um, Folks, if you watch my videos, you'll see that I drink a lot of milk, and I drink it from these large cartons, and generally, and of course, I drink it straight out of the carton, um, and I take it in and out of the refrigerator frequently during the day. One thing I've found that is rather useful is I Well, sometimes when I take it out of the fridge, I leave it out for a while. Sometimes I open the fridge, take a swig, and just put it in the fridge and close the door. Sometimes it gets left out a while for various reasons, maybe because I'm going to drink more shortly or other reasons. Um, but one thing I found useful is to keep some lids, extra lids, here and there around the kitchen and the eating area. So I had four of these that I picked up on the kitchen counter. And then there's a round table where generally people eat often. And I have four or five of these lids on there. The reason is that if I take the container out of the fridge and take the lid off and maybe leave the container there or move it somewhere else where I drink some more. Maybe I might have left the lid off, and what can happen is that the lid sometimes or occasionally, not frequently, but sometimes gets separated from the container and it's hard to find when I go to put the container back in the fridge. So I found that it's rather useful to have extra lids around in, in case that happens. One thing about these containers, when you buy them in the store, there's this little ring below the cap, and the colors match. If this lid gets taken off and placed, accidentally misplaced, I might end up. I'll just grab whatever lid is most to hand and put it on. And these lids, so I do often end up with a mismatch. Which doesn't bother me. It might bother some. Almost all of these lids, I think they may sometimes come from various different companies, but they seem to almost always fit the various milk containers, even the ones they weren't originally with. Um, and it really makes for more convenience. If you do like I do, I would really recommend it. These lids don't look too bad sitting around in these areas. They don't look great, but they don't look that bad. Um, and it's worth it in terms of the convenience when you can't immediately spot the one lid to just grab a lid because there's four or five there and put that one on and then put the container back. That could even be true, I suppose, even if I drink straight from the container, but even if you're one who pours milk into a glass or a bowl for cereal, you could still misplace that cap, and then it's very nice to have one immediately at hand rather than having to hunt, which can be difficult. They can really get misplaced easily. At least in my house, there's a lot of clutter and they can easily get misplaced. In fact, I guess you could tell this lid has been sitting a while because there's milk on there, but it's quite dried out. And that's because it's been sitting waiting. I mean, it can happen that I suppose it can happen every once in a while. I just toss a couple of these lids in the recycling bag because I don't want too many of them to accumulate. But um, it could happen, I suppose, that one never gets used. I mean, most of the time I do put the original lid back on, and it could happen that some of these spare lids never get used, but just having them there is really nice. So I don't know. I think this would be a good idea, even if a person didn't drink a lot of milk like I do, or as much as I do. Particularly if you drink a lot, you might enjoy this idea, but even if you don't, you might enjoy it. It might be useful to you. So, um, the if you like my videos, do subscribe, comment, and rate. I think those things get the video shown in better focus by YouTube. If I forget anything or don't think of something interesting subsequently or useful, I'll write it in the description under the video or make a future video. Whether this would be useful if you drink other, this might be useful if you drink other things regularly that have lids. I don't know. I mean, it came to mind if you drink beer or maybe orange juice. Um, Frequently you might misplace the lids. Those lids, I mean, bottled beer, those lids might not be as uniform as these lids. These are pretty nice because they're, no matter what the brand, they almost always fit the different containers. I think these gallon lids also will fit the smaller containers. I think the half gallon, this is a gallon. The half gallon, I think these lids fit. Possibly the quart, which would be a quarter of this. I can't remember for sure, but this might work with other kinds of beverages as well. I don't know because I don't much drink others. I'm a bit challenged in my cameras that I have or am able to use. Otherwise, I'd take the camera to the other rooms and show you room or area and show you where the lids are. But hoping you can kind of imagine. If you use the idea, I guess for me, they're usually sort of together. Because when I save one, I kind of put it next to one that's already sitting there that's been saved. But there's not a special place for them. They're just somewhere on a counter or somewhere on a table where there's space.